So, the adapter is used to convert the interface of a class into another interface that clients are expecting. Adapter lets classes work together that couldn't otherwise because of incompatible interfaces. Use the adapter pattern whenever you want to use an existing class and its interface does not match the one you need. You want to create a reusable class that cooperates with unrelated or unforeseen classes, and for this you need to have a compatible interface. And regarding the object adapter, you need to use several existing subclasses, but it's impractical to adapt their interface by subclassing every one of them. An object adapter can adapt the interface of its parent class. Sometimes a toolkit class that's designed for reuse isn't reusable only because its interface doesn't match the domain-specific interface an application requires. Consider, for example, a drawing editor that lets users draw and arrange graphical elements, lines, polygons, text, into pictures and diagrams. The drawing editor's key abstraction is the graphical object, and the interface for graphical objects is defined by an abstract class called shape. The editor defines a subclass of shape for each kind of graphical object: a line shape, class for lines, a polygon shape, class for polygons, and so forth. Classes for elementary geometric shapes are rather easy to implement because of their drawing and editing capabilities that are limited. But a text shape subclass, for instance, can be very more difficult to implement, considerably more difficult to implement, since even basic text editing involves more complicated and screen updates and buffer management. How can existing and unrelated classes, like a text view, work with an application that expects classes with a different and incompatible interface? It's time to look at the structure and to actually see what we call an adapter. The proposed solution structure implies the usage of multiple inheritance, or, for the object adapter, object composition. So, when considering the class and object adapters that have different trade-offs, a class adapter adapts the adaptee to target by committing to a concrete adapter class. As a consequence, a class adapter won't work when we want to adapt a class and all its subclasses. It lets adapter override some of the adaptee's specific behavior and introduces only one object and no additional pointer needed to get the adaptee. So the adapter inherits both from the target and the adaptee. Looking at an object adapter, that is quite common in the cases where multiple inheritance isn't possible, it lets a single adapter work with many adaptees. That is, the adaptee itself and all of its subclasses, if any. The adapter can also add functionality to all adaptees at once. It makes it hard to override adaptee behavior. It will require subclassing, but the adaptee is more suitable since the adapter can refer to the subclass rather than the adaptee itself. There are also some other consequences to consider. How much adapting does the adapter need to do? So, adapters vary in the amount of work they do to adapt the adaptee to the target interface, and this comes from simple interface conversion, changing the names of operations, to supporting entirely different set of operations. There are some adapters that are considered pluggable, where a class is more reusable when you minimize the assumptions other classes must make to use it. By building interface adaptation into a class, you eliminate this assumption, so the adapter becomes more pluggable and adapts to existing interfaces. Using two-way adapters, this promotes transparency, and the potential problem with adapters is that they aren't transparent to all clients, and an adapted object no longer conforms to the adaptee interface, so it can't be used as is wherever an adaptee object can. Two-way adapters can provide this transparency, a much-needed transparency. Specifically, they're useful when two different clients need to view the object differently. The most widely known uses for the adapter are classes like array adapter, a simple cursor adapter, a wrapper list adapter, and all the wrapper classes around them.